Hello everyone, my name is Arun Poddar. So today we are going to discuss about unit number 5, the memory system, lecture number 34. Let us go through the contents that we are going to discuss in this video. We are going to discuss about asynchronous DRAMs and internal organization of a 2M into 8 dynamic memory chips. Now let us go through what is asynchronous DRAMs. Now in the last lecture we have studied about static DRAMs. Now what are asynchronous DRAMs? Now less expensive RAMs can be implemented if simpler cells are used. Such cells do not retain their state indefinitely. Such cells are called as dynamic RAMs. So as we have studied in the previous lecture, in static RAMs, cells will retain their state as long as the power is on. The state will not change until the power is off. Whereas in DRAMs, or you can say dynamic RAMs, the cells will not retain their state. It will go on changing from 0 to 1 as well as from 1 to 0 in between. Whatever the information is stored in the dynamic memory cell, which will be in the form of a charge on a capacitor. So information which is stored in the dynamic memory, it will be stored as a charge on a capacitor, and this charge can be maintained only for tens of milliseconds. So whatever the information is stored, it will be stored in the form of a charge in the capacitor. The cell is required to store information for much longer time. That is, so its contents must be periodically refreshed by restoring the capacitor charge to its full value. What it means is, whatever the cells we are using in asynchronous DRAMs, it used to store information for a much longer time. As we have seen in the next second point, this charge can be maintained only for tens or milliseconds. So only for 10 or milliseconds this information will be there. So to store for much longer time, we should always periodically refresh. That is, periodically refresh the contents. This can be done by periodically charging the capacitor to its full value. That is, whatever the information is stored, it is stored as a charge on a capacitor. So it will be there for only milliseconds or tens or milliseconds. So after that the information gets lost. So after periodically or 10 milliseconds, we should again refresh the contents so that again the capacitor gets charged to its full value. Now here you can see the example of a asynchronous DRAM. So in order to store information in this cell, you can see a transistor T is turned on and an appropriate voltage is applied to the bit line. So when we apply some voltage, it causes a known amount of charge to be stored in the capacitor. So capacitor C stands for the capacitor C, which is used to store the charges. Now after the transistor is turned off, the capacitor begins to discharge. That is, automatically when the transistor will get off, capacitor again goes on losing the charges. So this is caused by the capacitor own leakage resistance. Now transistor continues to conduct a tiny amount of current after it is turned off. That is, even if the transistor is turned off, it always continues a tiny amount of current. That is, even if the transistor is turned off, some amount of current will be there. So this current is measured in picoamperes. Now what happens during a read operation? During a read operation, the transistor in a selected cell is turned on. Now if you want to read the data from the cell, the transistor in the appropriate cell is turned on. Now after that, a sense amplifier connected to the bit line detects whether a charge is stored on the capacitor above the threshold value. Now when we want to read the contents from the cell, first amplifier will be connected to the bit line. So this is used to detect whether whatever the charge is or information which is stored in the capacitor, it is above the threshold value. So if the charge is stored above the threshold value or some amperes, then it drives the bit line to the full voltage that represents the logic value 1. So the entire line will be set to 1. This voltage recharges the capacitor to the full charge that corresponding to logic 1. Means whatever the charges are stored in the capacitor, it will be full charged and the entire bit line in logic will be set to 1. Now if the sense amplifier detects that the charge on the capacitor is below the threshold value. Now suppose the capacitor is charged with less than the threshold value, so it is not above the threshold value. So in that case it will pull the bit line to the ground level. If it is above the threshold value, it will pull the bit line to logic value 1. But if the charge on the capacitor is below the threshold value, it will pull the bit line to ground level, that is 0. So the capacitor will have no charge representing logic value 0. Next we'll go for internal organization of a 2M into 8 dynamic memory chip. So as you can see, it is a 2M into 8 dynamic memory chip. So the cells are organized in a form of a 4K into 4K array. Okay. Now the total it will become 4096 cells. That is, each row will be divided into 512 groups of 8, so that a row can store 512 bytes of data. What it means is each row will be divided into 512 groups of 8. So there will be 8 columns and each row can store 512 bytes of data. So 12 address bits are needed to select a row. Now whatever the another bytes 9 are needed to specify a group of 8 bits in the selected row. So thus a 21-bit address is needed to access a byte in this memory. Now during a read operation, the higher 12 bits and the lower order 9 bits of the address constitute the row and column address of a byte. Now during a write operation, the row address is first applied, that is row address of the cell. As you can see here, there is a row address cell. It is applied first. It is loaded into the row address latch as a result of a signal pulse. So once it gets a signal pulse on the row address strobe input of a chip, so address is first loaded into the row address strobe. Then a read operation is initiated in which all cells on the selected row are read and refreshed. So whenever you are reading some value from a given row, first what we have to do is, now then a read operation is initiated in which all cells of the selected row are read and refreshed. Now suppose if you are reading some amount of information from a given row, okay, so the row address will be first applied, that is the address of the row will be fetched, and after that this once we get the read address, that is the address of the row, then a read operation will be initiated on that row. So all the selected cells that are present on that row will be read and will be again refreshed. Now after we get the row address is loaded, the next is we need to get the column address. So column address is applied to the address pins and loaded into the column address latch under the control address strobe signal. So for getting the control address, we use the control address strobe signal. Now whatever the information in this latch will be decoded and the appropriate group of 8 circuits will be selected. That is appropriate 8 columns sense write circuit will be selected. Now if the control signal indicates a read operation, now if I want to read some information from the given column, the output values of the selected circuits are transferred to the data lines D7 to D0. Suppose if you are using a write operation, so information what is present in the D7 to D0 will be transferred to the selected circuits. Now this information is to override the contents of the selected cells in the corresponding 8 columns. So for columns we use the sense write circuits for both reading and writing. Now applying a row address will cause all the cells on the corresponding row to be read and refreshed. So when you are applying a row address, all the cells which are present on that row will be read. Nothing will be left. All row will be read and refreshed during both read as well as write operations. Now a refresh circuit assesses each row of cells periodically to ensure that contents of DRAMs are maintained. So once we have refreshed, it will try to assess each row of the cells to ensure that all the contents will be updated. A specialized memory controller circuits provides necessary control signals. So there is a memory controller which is responsible for giving row address stop signal as well as column address stop signal. The processor must take into account the delay in the response of the memory. So such memories are referred to as asynchronous DRAMs. So the processor takes account in the delay in response of the memory. So if there is a delay in the response of memory, such type of memories are called asynchronous DRAMs. So it is widely used in memory units of computer due to their high density and low cost. So whatever the available chips are in the range from 1M to 256M bits, and even larger chips are being developed. Next we go to what is fast page mode. Now the most useful arrangement is to transfer the bytes in the sequential order, which is achieved by applying a consecutive sequence of column address. Now if you want to transfer the bytes in a sequential order but in a fast mode using the column addresses, so this can be done using the fast page mode. Now this scheme allows transferring a block of data at a much faster rate than can be achieved transferred using random addresses. So in addition to random addresses, we can transfer a block of data much faster rate. So it is referred as fast mode feature. So the faster rate can be attained in block transfer in applications in which memory accesses follow regular patterns such as graphic terminals. This feature is also beneficial in general purpose computers for transferring data blocks between main memory and cache. So this fast page mode, that is transferring of block data at a much faster rate rather than using random addresses, is also used in between main memory and cache. Now in this video we have discussed about example of dynamic memory cells, internal organization of a 2M into 8 dynamic memory chip, and fast page mode. Thank you.